Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. We're going to be doing another Let's Build a Mission episode today. And today I want to talk to you guys about first a couple of tips that you can do when building your missions to help you sort of navigate around and be able to spot what's going on when you're doing a replay. And then also managing some of the triggers for like mission starts and triggering different scenarios. So first, if you create a trigger for each fighter, each helicopter that has the option to be a part of a mission, right? That can get very hard to manage very, very quickly. I mean, we're only at 2 missions here so far, and here's our trigger list so far. So, I mean, that's only 2 missions, right? So managing all these is a pain in the butt as is. I mean, you're going to get to a point where you're going to want to make sure you're really documenting what triggers go to what mission for your own sake in case you need to come back and edit things. But more importantly, again, assigning it to all the different aircraft, especially as new aircraft come out and things like that, you have to go back and change things. There's a much easier way to do some of this. So what I've done here is I've created what's called mission commanders, and you can do what I've done here and use a UH-1 and put them out in the middle of nowhere. Or you can take a TF-51 or an SU-25T that I would recommend. Put them at a base that you're not using or an airfield. And the reason why I say the TF-51 or the SU-25 is if you have downloaded DCS, you have access to both of those aircraft. It's the UH-1, you have to purchase it in order to jump in the seat. So there is some drawbacks to me using the UH-1 depending on my options, and it may be something that I have to change later. We'll see. But what I've done here is I've made a mission commanders, and all of my triggered options will come to them. Okay, as far as starting a scenario. And they're immortal, so they cannot be destroyed. I've set them to take off from ground. Now you just have to find a flat area like I've done here that doesn't really change altitude much. Okay. And then the other thing that I've done here is set their fuel to 0. So they cannot start up. You can't take them off. You can't, go and tool around in these ones. They're just for triggering missions. And they're far enough away from any base or FARP that there's no way they can get any fuel out there if they wanted to, right? There isn't any way. They're not moving and they're not being destroyed. And so what I do here, give you guys a quick demonstration. So we load up the mission, we find our mission commanders, and we hit OK. And then what we do is just simply hit our radio menu, go to F10, and you can see the 2 missions that we have created so far. And we're going to talk about this search and rescue north here in a minute. And we'll do this with all of my missions, okay? All of the little side missions that you can spawn and start. They just come to a mission commander, decide which ones they want to do, and I may change it up. Maybe this will just be for helicopters. Maybe I'll create one for the Hornets. It's hard to say how I'm going to finally finalize all this, because even this will get sort of hard to manage after a while. But like this mission, when it's all done, we'll have a big PDF document that my team can look at and say, all right, well, I'd like to do this one, etc. So those are things something you can do to sort of start having a centralized way of managing all the different triggers or triggerable missions, I should say, or scenarios available in your particular training ground. Okay, so just a thought. You can do it however you'd like. You can do it before where you assign it to the specific aircraft where they jump in the seat and they can pick whatever is available for that particular unit type. It's just like I said, when you get enough missions, that's going to start to become a little cumbersome. But or maybe just do it by type. Like I said, like I can make this just for the helicopters. You want to do a mission helicopter, you jump into this one. But it's hard to say. But anyway, let's go ahead and move on. Let's get back into our editor. And the other tip I wanted to show you guys is if you're creating a scenario like this, it's out in the middle of nowhere, right? And you've just put some things down, you don't really have, anything that's activated, and you just want to go see the area. Or say you're doing some scoping, like you want to see, what would this area look like if I dropped a vehicle, or if I create a scenario out here, I want to see what the terrain looks like. Right now your option would be either to use a jet or a plane, or like click on this map and then hit F11 to come to it. But what I like to do is just drop a vehicle down or a unit or something, title it, observation or whatever the heck you want. Oh, we don't need a waypoint, but whatever, that's fine. And then actually just hit delete, hit save, start your mission up. And then once you're in the map, you simply find the guy that you just placed, right? Click on him and hit F7. And then we can zoom out and we can get an idea of what this particular area is like, right? Like, you know, if this is an area that you would like to set up some sort of scenario, okay? And you can leave them there until you have enough units down where you can just click on them and get into the area. And then once you have it all done and all ready to roll, then you can, if you want, you can hide them on the map so they can no longer be seen on the F10 map, okay? But anyway, just a couple tips there. So now let's talk about what we're going to do today. What we're going to do today is we're going to take a look at creating a search and rescue operation. It's going to be real quick, very, very low level. But what we're going to add to it is this is a multi-role operation. So you can either fly it in a helicopter or you can fly it in a close air support aircraft, and we can even add some air-to-air aspects to it. Okay. And what we're going to do is set it up in a way where whichever role is not currently active, okay, it gets replaced by AI. Now, in this particular scenario, all I've done is just given the option of the helicopter. The helicopter can be flown by human or by AI. The jets will not. I haven't added them into this yet. I'm not sure if I'm going to on this one. But we'll see. And the only reason why I don't know if I'm going to add the jets AI into this is because if you're flying the helo, odds are by the time you get in there that the AI would have already eliminated the hostile force by the way we have it set up. But we can play with that a little bit later. So here's the scenario. We have a CH-47 down here that has crashed by whatever means you like to, you know, imagine, getting shot down, whatever. Okay, here we have two soldiers that have escaped from the helicopter and are, you know, transmitting a signal for help, you know, whatever you want to call it. Okay, their first step is when they spawn, they're going to report to waypoint 1, at which point they'll get the embark to transport command, which is this arrow here. Okay, we can move this zone around. You guys can sort of see that faint circle inside the big one moving around. And you want to keep them close because they're going to run to that location. So they're going to go to waypoint 1 and then they will run to this location. Now I've set the zone radius at 1,000 feet, and then the vehicle group is UH-1H, but you can set this to whatever you want. All helicopters that are available, vehicles, whatever, you know, however you want to set it up. But the idea here is that I've set up to UH-1, and then we have a UH-1 coming from a new FARP that I've built, which is over here. We called it FARP Bravo. Okay, the AI will take off once the mission starts. Okay, he'll start making his way to this zone here. Once he enters this big zone, which we'll call Search and Rescue 1, or SNR1 is the big blue zone. Once he enters into this zone, we have this hostility group, or hostile group, excuse me, hostility, wow, hostile group that will spawn. This group will only spawn if just the helicopter has entered the zone. Okay, and the reason being is that these are all light armored vehicles. These are all vehicles that a helicopter could destroy, like a UH-1. Okay, now this group here is much more threatening. A couple of T-55s, BTRs, a BMP, 3 Ural transports with the anti-aircraft artillery guns on them. Okay, so this group alone right here would tear a UH-1 in half. Okay, so this group will spawn the second an aircraft capable of close air support enters the zone. Okay, so an aircraft like the F-18, the F-14, the Harrier, an A-10, something of those lines that can do air-to-ground attacks. Okay, once they enter the zone, that second group will spawn. Okay, and it gives your close air support something to do. Now, as far as all these other trigger zones, what these are, these SNR1 destroys, destroy, destroy, destroy. These are simulations of damage. So what's going to happen is an explosion is going to happen at the center of each one of these zones, and then a smoke and fire will emanate from the center of these zones as well. So basically simulating that a helicopter sort of crashed here, maybe rolled and slid to a stop over here. You know, nasty crash, right? Now, the idea here is we have it timed just right, and this takes a lot of going in and out of the sim. You sort of have to plot how long it takes this group to get here. Now, an easy way to do this is you can take this guy here, okay, or even this group, find its corresponding, call it a collision waypoint, if you will, at what point it will meet the Huey. Okay, so we'll come to waypoint 4, and you can see from activation 16 minutes and 44 seconds later, they should reach this location. Well, then, so what we want to do is we want to say, okay, well, how long is it going to take? Where's the helicopter going to be at 16 minutes? Okay, And so we come up here and we see about 23 minutes the helicopter will enter this zone. And what you're looking for is to see how long it takes the helo to get from here to here. All right, so 23 minutes here, and then if we go to 8, 37 minutes. Okay, so backing that up again, 23 to 37 was at 14 minutes, just shy of 15, 14 and a half, somewhere around there. Okay, so the helicopter should get here as the vehicle group is getting to about right here. Okay, so he's going to see it. It gives you, as the helo pilot, if you're flying the helicopter, gives you time to react, right? So you're going to see this group approaching. You can turn your weapons on, go in and engage, do some strafing runs, if you want, and then come down and get the troops. Or you can continue to proceed to the troops, and if you have your close air support up, like an F-15, or not F-15, F-18, etc., they will be, intercepting and coming down and striking as the helo is moving in. But the idea behind this is that if neither team reacts fast enough, you can move them a little bit closer. I actually might shed this down just a little bit, maybe by a minute or two, make it a little bit more of a threatening situation if you're not paying attention, to where the the attack begins as the helicopter's rolling in, right? So those are just a couple different ideas on how to set that up. Now, let's see it all in action, okay, as far as how to set up in the trigger menu. So here at the start of the mission, we have our radio item that's added for those mission commanders I told you about. I've titled the mission SNR 1 North, as you guys saw in the radio menu, and it will activate flag 120. All right, now what happens when flag 120 turns on? Here's the explosions and all the smoke and fire that I was telling you about in those yellow zones. Okay, this is all the yellow zones. And so what I've got here, SNR 1 is the zone that I first. Altitude, we want it right on the ground, so you leave it at 1. Volume, it literally means volume, your ears. How loud is the explosion? I think that's just to simulate how far away it is. Okay, and each one of those will have that. And then coming down to SNR1, now we have small smoke and fire, and you can set the density of it with a maximum of 1. So we want maximum, it's going to be 1, okay? But I'm going to leave that about 0.6. 1 gets like super wide, very large, very quick. 0.6, and I sort of have them dwindling down as we move around here. I have some sort of more severe than others, right? 3 is at 0.15, so that's this one here. 2 is at 2.5, that's up here. Okay, just sort of make it look like some things are burning, worse than others. Alright, so flag is true 120. Then we have time since flag 15 seconds, and the reason why I did 15 seconds is to make sure the units don't get killed in the explosion, because it is a damaging explosion. Okay, it's exactly what it sounds like. So keep that in mind. When you set that explosion trigger, this one here, anything nearby it will get damaged. Okay. So anyway, oops, didn't mean to do that. So we have time since flag 120, 15 seconds later, group activate rescue me, and group activate search and rescue 1 rescue. This is the helicopter coming in to get them. All right, now we have part of coalition in zone, blue helicopter SNR1, and SNR1 is this big blue zone here. Okay, that's the big blue zone is SNR1. So when a helicopter enters this zone that is part of the blue coalition, we have flag on 121. Okay, that's where it gets a little weird. And then now what we have is another one, part of coalition in zone, and flag is true 121, and that's a blue SNR1 and an airplane. So our fighters, we have activate SNR attack group 2. So this is the armor group. This is the group that's going to that second attack group back here that's armored. Okay, so flag 121 has to be active, which means the helo has to be in the zone. Okay, so the helicopter has to be in there. There's no ands, ifs, or buts about it. Okay, if the helicopter's in the zone and then a fighter enters the zone, group 2 will activate. Now, flag 121 true, and part of coalition zone is blue SNR1. We have group activate SNR1, which actually there's a much easier way for me to do this. So stand by on that one for a second. I'm actually going to delete that because there's really no need for it. Because what I've got here is part of coalition zone, like we talked about, SNR1 helicopter flag on 121. And we can just add group activate right here. So group activate. And we're looking for SNR attack group 1. There. So now it just happens at the same time. There's no need for that third one. Okay. So then what we got here, all right, part of coalition in zone airplane, radio item add for group. Now this I added for each individual aircraft, okay, and what this is flag 122, okay, and what I've done here is added a message at the end of it, message to coalition. So all these radio menus have been added for all of my air-to-ground capable, or air-to-air capable fighters that might be in this area. Okay. Hostile aircraft can be spawned by Blue 4 fighters operating near the Search and Rescue 1 zone. So that'll pop up on the screen, and you can set it to coalition, you can set it to the group. I just made it easy for right now. Now, the reason why I did that is because you may be in a fighter, you may be in a Hornet or a Harrier and want to come down here and do ground pounding, but you may not want to deal with air-to-air. You know, that may not be just where you're at today. So I've given you the option to do it with these. And again, this is the group that you're assigning the radio item to. What are you calling the radio item? SNR1 air-to-air. Okay. Flag 122, and we don't care about the value, but we're turning on flag 122 if you press that button. Okay. Now what happens when you do that? Flag is true, 1 and 22, group activate SNR1 AI. And AI is air intercept, which is this group here, which is a couple of Su-27s that will come into the zone. Okay. So, and then it will remove the SNR1 A2A radio item since it's been active. We don't need it anymore. All right. Now, rescue helo. All right. Let's talk about it. This is if a player wants to fly the helicopter. Okay, he doesn't want AI assistance. You have a player who wants to be the one flying the Huey and come in and land and pick the troops up. Okay, so flag is true, 120. We're going to add the radio item for FARP Bravo UH-1 Hueys. Now, over here at FARP Bravo, oops, these 4 helicopters can be flown by a player. Okay, and I've titled them FARP Bravo, identifying where they are, UH-1. And then SNR1 join, and it will turn on flag 123. Okay, and then to message these guys, let's say you're already in one of these helicopters. The reasons why I've created this message. Let's say you're already in one of these helos and you're over here tooling around doing something else, right? You want to have the option at least. This will pop up on your screen. You have the option to join a search and rescue mission. Gotta love typos. Searchy. Nice. I don't know what the heck that is. A search and rescue operation. Please accept the mission if you wish via the F10 radio menu. So that's when you'll come in, you'll find this, you press it, turns on flag 123. What flag 123 will do is deactivate the AI helicopter that we have right here. Oh, right here. Okay, so it will deactivate him. No matter where he is, it'll shut him off. Okay, he'll just disappear. And then you, as the player, have now taken on the responsibility to fly out here and pick up the AI. Okay, pick up the soldiers. And then all it is now here is we have to do a mission complete. What has to happen is part of group in zone, and that's rescue me. Those are our soldiers on the ground inside of this med state zone. Okay, and part of coalition out of zone, which is the SNR1 airplane. So the SNR1 is our blue zone, and we want any blue airplanes out of that zone. Okay, and the reason why I add that is if you did spawn the fighters, okay, and let's say you're in the middle of an engagement, you don't want someone deactivating your engagement if you're enjoying that. You actually want to try to shoot the enemy down. So blue fighters have to be out of the big blue zone, the SNR1 zone. The troops have to have landed and ran into this med state zone, and what will happen here is all of our flags will be turned off, 120, 121, 22, 23, and then we will deactivate all of the groups that were currently active. So search and rescue 1, that's the rescue helicopter. Rescue me, our troops, they will be deactivated. SNR attack group 1 and 2 will be deactivated, and the SNR1 AI. And this is the reason why we wanted that blue fighter out of the zone, or blue airplanes out of that zone, is the fighters will also be deactivated if they happen to have spawned. Now, if any of these groups were never triggered, no harm, no foul, just nothing happens. Okay? And then we have our med state again here. The reason why the groups would deactivate is to simulate they've gone into a med tent. Okay? And then after that, you're free to, operate as you will. But that's it for this episode. I hope you guys have enjoyed this. But those are quick and easy ways to sort of set up the option of AI help versus player help without the use of any kind of scripting or anything like that. So again, leave any questions or comments in the field below. If there's a scenario you guys would like me to see, I know one person has taken advantage of it and I was able to answer his questions. But if you guys have any specific questions or scenarios you'd like to see set up, by all means, let me know in the comments below or on the forums on the ED pages, and I will see you guys in the next one. Take care, guys.